Hey folks, how's it going? So, I recently did an unboxing of this Malifaux hide and seek set just to show you what you get inside it. I want to start off my whole Malifaux collection with something kind of big and fierce and impressive looking. So, the first one that I'm going to work on is this dude here. He's called Lord Chopmy Bits. That's not the name I gave him, that's actually his name. It's actually his character's name. So, really cool looking model. Really looking forward to putting this together. So, let's get right into it. And there is Lord Chopmy Bits all put together. It was really cool to do. It probably took around 45 minutes in total, and that's including time taking off the sprue and cleaning up mold lines and flash. There's a couple of gaps which is to be expected, and I'm just going to go in and fill those with green stuff and smooth it all out, make sure they're all taken care of before I move on to the painting. I really like the pose. He's standing at around 7.5 centimeters, which is about 3 inches tall. And he's got these huge arms coming out the shoulders, which I like, with these big claws on the end. But yeah, the pose is awesome, lots of action going on there, so that's cool. So now it's on to the green stuff work, and then I get to paint it, which I'm really looking forward to. Let's go do it. Here we go, it's all the green stuff work done. I didn't do too much in terms of modifications and stuff like that, because I'm fairly happy with this model overall. But I just wanted to fill those gaps, and I went ahead and smoothed them out. Probably used a bit more green stuff than was really necessary, but I tend to do that with when I'm filling gaps and stuff like that. I fill the gap and then I'll go over again with a really thin layer just to blend it in a little more. So I've gone ahead and done that. The couple of things that I did do, the mouth in here, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but it kind of ran in a straight line from the points of all the teeth across. So there was just this flat kind of ridged surface in there, but I went in with just a little Dremel tool and hollowed it out a little more, so there was a bit more of a recess. For example, when you're looking from the side here, originally those teeth at the top there would have ran, you would have seen a bold line running straight across, but I've just kind of recessed that in a little bit to give a bit more depth in there. Just something I wanted to do just to kind of ease that niggle in my head, I guess. Something else I did was these spikes on the wrist and the elbows. They tended to look like they were part of the flesh on the box, so the flesh is this kind of blue color and the spikes were as well. But I wasn't too keen on that, so what I did was went and did a little kind of raised area where it looks like these spikes are actually piercing through the flesh, and I'll paint those up to look like bone, just to break up the blue kind of tone that this is going to be a little bit, just with those little highlights of bone kind of coming through. So that was pretty much all the modification side of things I did. I did add a little more texture into the green stuff that I put on there. The skin on this thing is really smooth and flat overall, so I added just a little bit of texture here and there, hopefully just to pick up some extra highlights and stuff when I go in with the dry brushing. But yeah, really easy to do. So now I'm just going to go ahead and do a base coat with a light grey, which is kind of the colour that I do all of my base coats. It's actually lighter than the grey that you see here. I like doing that because I find black too dark, so it's harder for that to take lighter colours, and white is too light, that's harder for that to take darker colours. So I like a nice kind of mid-tone grey just to start out with, so it seems to work for the range of colours from light to dark. So base coat with that light grey, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint out pretty much the colour scheme that's on the box, which is just a blue purple kind of colour. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that now. And here he is, Lord Chopmy Bits, all painted up. There's quite a jump, obviously, from the last bit of painting that you saw there to what he is now. I had to miss out the whole dry brushing stage, unfortunately, which is, you know, obviously the most interesting part. It kind of brings all the detail and stuff to it. But the footage, there was something wrong with it. I'm trying to still work out this whole condensing footage down to play, you know, fast, or I've even been using time-lapse functions on my various devices that I've got available. So this video has been a little bit of a test, and for some reason my well, I know exactly why. It's because my laptop's old. It doesn't like that compressed footage with the, you know, the speed footage or whatever. The editing software I've got just kind of clams up and stalls constantly with that in the timeline. So, you know, it's a work in progress. I'm still learning, you know, as much about painting models as I am about editing these videos and things, but that's kind of besides the point. Lord Chopmy Bits is finished, which is the main focus here. So yeah, just did a bunch of dry brushing and stuff. I kind of wanted to give it, this is a much more rough dry brush than I would normally do on a model, but looking at the box here, all the Malifaux stuff tends to have this kind of rough grungy look to it. So I'm going to try and keep that, see if I can keep that sort of theme running through. So for the dry brushing, I pretty much just did an extra dry brush, if that makes sense. Just, you know, less paint on the brush than I would normally do for a standard dry brush. There was almost, you know, next to no paint left on the brush. I just built it up in a whole load of layers. Just to get this kind of, as I say, rough textured sort of effect. I want to keep it kind of grungy looking, so that's what I went with. The tabard thing he's got on here in the chain, obviously I made the tabard red. There's no kind of real indication as to what colour that should be, but his eyes, you can see his many eyes up here, were red on the box, so I thought I'd do something just to kind of tie that in and not go for a completely different colour altogether. And having this, the modifications I made to these spikes coming out, just making them bone instead of flesh, I thought just kind of tied, you know, gave a bit more interest to the rest of the model, gave a different colour throughout it, and kind of tied that in with the teeth that he's got going on here at the front. Now as for that big kind of middle tooth, I guess, or tooth/nose, it was actually, it looks like it kind of blends into a tooth on the box here, but I wasn't too keen on that, so I just left it as this big kind of, you know, like it's his nose or something along those lines. The base, I might actually do a tutorial at some point on doing this style of base. This is just done with green stuff. I'll go into more detail about it if I do the tutorial, but it's just a thin layer of green stuff, and you just kind of mold it and, you know, modify it to make it look like stone. Because usually I do the kind of standard, you know, brown gravel sort of bases, like, you know, worn battlefield look for Warhammer miniatures and things, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different for the Malifaux range that I'm going to be working on. So I went for this kind of is it called flagstone or cobblestone type effect, just, you know, a bunch of random rocks kind of fitted together on the ground, and just went in with some dry brushing and ink washes, and then did a final layer of green dry brushing just to make it look like there's some moss on the stones, just to give it, you know, a kind of old sort of look. So this could be, you know, they could be in a graveyard or walking through the streets of some old rundown town or something, you know, along those lines. So I thought I'd just try and give them a different theme to the rest of the miniatures that I'll be working on here. But yeah, overall really cool model to put together and to paint. There's not much I'd do differently, I don't think. Maybe if I had, you know, more spent more time on it, I might go through and do this bone kind of the bone look, I guess, on all of these spikes. But that would have involved going around all the bases of them all with green stuff to make it look like the spikes were actually coming through the skin, which is what I did with the rest of them. So like all the spikes on his hands here and up on the top of his head, you know, it'd be, and on his spine as well, actually. It'd be a bit, you know, a lot of extra work, and I really just wanted to rattle through and trying to get the first piece in my Malifaux collection finished. So that is him, Lord Chopmy Bits. I'm going to do the rest in that hide and seek box set sometime soon. I've got a full cardboard box of other Malifaux miniatures as well, so I'll probably start looking at some of them. It's nice, kind of refreshing to look at a different range of miniatures and tackle some creatures and some characters and stuff that you haven't done before. So that's kind of what's pulling me towards working on some of these guys. But yeah, for the time being, this is Lord Chopmy Bits, and as I say, I'll be back with some of the rest of the Malifaux bits and pieces here in the future, hopefully sooner rather than later. But until then, cheers for watching, and I will catch you all later. Bye.